For somebody that would need a diagnosis, I think you can get a diagnosis and diagnosis from whether we're talking about a 12-month-old or we're talking about a 50-year-old, it's just being able to access that, and it is just, in my opinion, I think it's easier for an adult to get a diagnosis than for a 12-month-old or an 18-month-old, because the 50-year-old, they're not going to say, "Oh, well, wait and see," and, "Oh, they'll grow out of it," and, "Oh, you can't be autistic because you looked at me and you smiled." And so, I mean, every single day I get calls from parents who have 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, and older who knew their child was autistic. And everyone around them, the birth to 3 teacher, the pediatrician, the speech person, their family all said, "Wait and see," or "They can't be autistic because," and the parent is devastated because now their child is 5 and they've missed this opportunity for early intervention. And not that things can't be done, because you can do things as an adult, and so it's never too late. It's knowing where to get those resources, and the key in doing that is not going to the big clinics, because the big clinics are gonna follow things um, very rigidly, and the wait lists are huge and long. You have to go out and dig and dig and dig and find that little provider like me who is, I mean, I don't ever have a waiting list. I mean, we get people in within a week, 2 weeks maximum. You call me, yep, you call me today, you're gonna be in to see me within a week or 2, because ethically, morally, you should never have to wait, for services. And so, while it might be not that quick everywhere, I live in a very, very, very rural area. I mean, my closest neighbor here is, over a mile away. My closest city has 300 people, and that's 10 miles away. I work in a little bigger city, but if we can do that here, there are those providers in every city across, the at least United States. I can't talk for, other, countries, but you just have to keep fighting for it.
That's really interesting. I know that I've heard kind of like mixed stories in terms of when kids have been able to get their diagnosis. There are those parents that are waiting till like 5 or 6 for the reason that you said, that they said that we can't tell yet, which to me is really interesting because
No.
my kids, my youngest one was diagnosed at 20 months old. And then because she was
Yeah.
diagnosed, my other one was looked at as well. And she got a preliminary diagnosis at 12 months old that couldn't be confirmed until she hit 18 months. And then she was able to get a
Yeah.
diagnosis. So, like, I'm surprised and shocked that people have to wait till 6 years old when you
They
can get
don't.
it at like 18 months.
Yeah, they don't. No, you can get it at 12 months. We can do the ADOS at 12 months old, and you can give,
Yeah.
not even provisional, you can give a diagnosis. A lot of our siblings that have autism, I mean, you can see it at 6 months, you can see it at 9. When you think of some of the social, development that happens between that 6 and 9-month-old level. At 9 months, there is a phenomenal psychological study that was done. It's called a virtual cliff. They put a baby on a clear table, like plexiglass table, and the table has, what appears to the baby to have a drop off. So half of the table, I mean, it's firm all the way. The baby's
Mhm.
not in any
Yeah.
danger ever, but it the table drops off and then goes to the floor while the plexiglass stays on top, and the mom stays at the other side. So when the baby reaches this part that visually looks like it's a cliff, looks like they're gonna drop off, if the mom who's standing at the other side of this table smiles at the baby and nods, no words, just smiles and nods, the baby will continue to proceed. If the parent shakes their head, has that little bit of fear, the baby stops and goes back
Wow.
at 9 months old. And so an autistic child doesn't do that, because an autistic child does not look, and it's not about eye contact, has nothing to do with eye contact. It has to do with understanding social reciprocity and understanding communication. That's what autism is this social communicative. And the eye contact thing gets so muddled and so mixed up because it has nothing to do with actually looking at somebody in the eye. It has to do with understanding that we use our face and our expressions. That doesn't mean an autistic person doesn't. They just use them differently, and they also have to be taught, which is why then again it gets harder as you get older, because after you are 3 years old, you're going to learn those social rules. And so then when I see a 6-year-old, I can't tell if they are doing the eye contact, making the gestures because they've been taught to do them, and or they taught themselves and they're masking, or are they doing it because it is natural to them? And that's where it gets really tricky. I mean, it's very
Mhm.
hard to diagnose an older child because it's so um, specific with some of those innate human behaviors that those of us that are neurodivergent, we're just, kind of aliens. We just don't
Yeah.
see things the
Mhm.
same way. We talk and say and do it, we those social niceties we are not good at.
That's so funny because I used to refer to myself as, like, feeling like an alien all the time, because of my own
Right.
neurodivergencies. But that's interesting because I know, like, with my oldest daughter, the first thing I was a new parent, obviously, at the time,
Mhm,
but the first thing that I noticed, and I don't know if it's this obvious normally, like, newborn, but honestly, newborn, we were still in the hospital and she literally never cried to indicate that she was hungry.
mhm.
So I would wake up because I would hear her sucking her fingers really loudly. And that was the only reason I knew to feed her. And then as she got older, it didn't change. She wouldn't tell me when she was hungry. I had to anticipate her needs. So that's very interesting. I thought, wow, I guess you could even potentially see it even in a newborn.
Yeah, and it's so different because there's autistics whose interoception skills are better, and there's those that even as adults have to set timers to remind themselves to eat and to drink and to do those things that they need to care for themselves. And so, actually, my post on Instagram is about this today. Is that autism is so unique, and there is not one thing that makes a person autistic or one thing that makes a person not autistic. And so it's so interesting as we're watching siblings, like, I'm sure your younger daughter was being monitored. It's so interesting to see that baby start to develop at 1 month and 2 months and 3 months. And those that have autism, even like with the self-stim behaviors, you see them. Every baby is going to flap their hands. Every baby is going to, chuck, suck, and chew. But it's so different watching a neurotypical child who is flapping and then stops, or the autistic child who's flapping and then becomes consumed by their own flapping and tunes everything else out, or is sucking on really bizarre things. They're
Yeah.
sucking on, your thigh and your neck, and the parts of the body that just even a neurotypical baby wouldn't do. So yeah, you can see it. Not that you would diagnose a 6-month old, but you can start to see those signs even that young.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Embracing Autism IRL podcast. Check out the full episode on our channel and don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share to help us continue to spread more awareness. And if you'd like to support what we do, make sure to visit our website at autismwish.org and click on Give to find out how you can help our mission of spreading acceptance and awareness. Your generosity helps us sustain our mission, keep our website running, and our podcast going so we can focus on continuing to reach thousands of autism families across the world. Thanks.